Hi everyone, my name is Marco with Board Game Revolution, and in today's sneak peek series, we have an extremely special game for you. That's right, this game to my right. Oh wait, that's right. Now there is no game to my right because it's actually on its way to Essen right now. We had the extreme pleasure of being able to get it for a very short bit of time to show you this preview, and that's right, this game right behind me, Titan. Now you guys may have remembered seeing it a few months ago on Kickstarter that unfortunately got canceled, but they're relaunching and they're ready for you to take a look at it. Titan is a 2 to 4 player network building, action selection, and resource management game where players will be building rigs, setting up networks, all in order to complete missions, objectives, and collect rare resources to score the most credits by the end of 5 rounds. A round of Titan is played over the course of 3 phases: start of cycle, action phase, and end of cycle. In the start of cycle, players will choose one rig to place anywhere on an open spot on the board. Here, the first player chooses a spot and places his rig down. They will instantly score the value that's on top of the rig, and put the resources that are notated on the rig inside the center. If the rig is put on a space with a resource token, such as this water, the player would grab that resource and put it in their dropship, filling up any remaining spots with pipes showing the available actions this turn. Since the player did not put their rig on a resource token, all action spots are filled with a pipe. Looking at the board, the player notices they need to move a drone, but drones only move after an action is taken. In order to do a preliminary action with a drone, you can spend 1 titanium and do a complete move and action with a drone. Before we show this, let's talk about drones real quick. Drones are numbered 1 through 4. Each drone can only move on that listed action. So drone 1 can only move on action 1. Drone 2, action 2, 3, action 3, and 4 on action 4. Getting back to the game, the player spends 1 titanium and takes the preliminary action. Following the pipeline, the drone moves to the rig on the 3rd tier, and it picks up the pollution off the rig. This drone can no longer share energy with the rig. The player is now ready to take their action and grabs a pipe and attaches it to the red rig, activating its ability. Each rig has its own unique ability where it collects certain resources, while the red is the only one that can remove pollution, and so the player takes a pollution out of their hold. At any time, if you can fill a mission, you will be able to take that mission card and score its points. The player spends the required resources, adds the mission to the completed deck, and scores the points. At the end of every player's turn, if they have the Silicium available, they can upgrade rigs, gaining control and being able to extract resources from them automatically. The cost to upgrade a rig is the amount of open available pipe spots minus any unused drones attached to that rig. So the cost of this rig would be 2. And the player spends 2 Silicium to upgrade the rig to have an additional red effect for that player only. When upgrading, the players will score the rig points again as well as the modification points. And then the turn passes to the next player. Play will continue this way until all players have taken 4 actions, and then the end of cycle will begin, where players will extract the resources from rigs they own and any pipeline that makes it to the center. So why should you back Titan on Kickstarter? Well, number one, I'm just going to point out the obvious. You guys have probably seen it throughout the whole preview, and that is the size of this game. Now, this is, in the prototype, it is a formed 3D printed and molded wood prototype, but believe in the Kickstarter, it's actually going to be molded plastic, which is going to be sturdy enough, but also lightweight, where when you put it all together, it's not going to be a heavy burden. But that's the whole selling point of this game, is that it brings a early 90s, late 80s game feel where you had, Fireball Island and what was it? The Creature from Underneath, I believe it was called, where the board is actually what you interact in, and it's not just a standard flat board or modular tiles. It's an actual, piece of hardware that you're playing on top of to give you a more encompassed feel into the game. And that's what this does. It gives you that full feeling that you're digging down into the core of Titan to, put your pipes, put your rigs down onto this planet, and best build up this flowing environment or economy of a miner. And it's great. And I don't know what else to say about that. I know I just put in some emotion into it, but that's how I feel about it, because this is a game where I have a lot of feeling towards, because of this game gives that nostalgic play area feel, but with modernized mechanical elements. And number 2, the mechanics. So like I said just previously, this has a modernized mechanic feel to it. It's straight from, your standard Euro style games where it's pure strategy. It's all about building and completing synergies to make the best possible way for you to either do like what's called a water strategy, or doing a rig strategy, or doing what's called a pollution strategy, because that could be one of the goals that is set on there, where you have to actually accumulate 10 pollution into your hull before you can get rid of any of them. And these are all negative points at the end, but if you've built your strategy and your rigs set up to where they all tick off at once, getting rid of like 4, 5, or 6 all in one go, that's a phenomenal thing that you feel, because you feel so accomplished, yet you're also making a lot of points because of hitting these objectives. Number 3, player interaction. That's right, this game is full of it. And it's not the type of take that player interaction where you're directly attacking each other. No, this is player interaction because everything is limited when it comes to the spots that are on Titan. So when you put a rig down, you are effectively taking that out of the game, because only one rig can go on one spot. You can't replace rigs. That's it. So you are effectively saying this player can't take this spot. So that's a direct interaction. Secondly, is the next one is the pipelines. So you can build pipelines to any rig because they're not owned by anybody until you put a modification down. And even so, you can still use them. But so if you were to destroy your own pipeline to put another one there, guess what? You get the bonuses of all the same colored rigs that you already had. But you can also destroy a opposite player's pipeline without a negative effect to either of you. Well, I guess there is a negative effect because they no longer have that pipe, but you can build your own onto there, and again, getting that synergy tick. So there's that player interaction, plus your drones. Your drones you can use to effectively pick up pollution, and guess what? That's right, put it into another player's base, or into another player's into the core if you know you're not going to be first player, and force the other players to take that pollution. So you're directly affecting everyone, and I just say that this is an interaction that is nice. It's something that flows very well, and it won't make people too upset because they're feeling attacked. And number 4, the components. Now, I know I've already talked about the board game in itself, and you're probably asking, but Marco, this is a prototype. How do you know about the components? Well, prototypes like this are near completion. Now, there may be slight changes, or the actual material that it's made out of may change, but the concept in itself and how it's displayed to us is as close to backer quality as what we're going to get for a prototype. And that's what I want to point out, is these player boards and the dock boards. These things are double layered chipboard. That's right, double layered. So you actually have specific spots for all of your pipelines and your minerals, and they work together because they've made it so that it actually fits the pipelines with no problem. And if you put the minerals on the side, they fit there without moving around. And it's really nice to have components like that, especially in a game with a lot of moving parts. And that's what this game has, because everything is coming off the board and onto the table. And that's another thing you probably saw was on the table. Everything had its own space, and the pipes actually had cutouts where they go into so they don't move, which is a really cool component factor in this game. Now, the last component I want to point out is actually the dock board, because this is a double function, because it works as, of course, in this component style, double chipboard set, so it doesn't move around, but it also shows as an action set. And this action set is easy to see, easy to read, and easy to go, okay, I see what everybody's doing. I know what the possible actions are, and I can plan for it. Which you don't get in a lot of games because you're either going off of workers that were put, at the same time as everybody else, or, cards in your hand. So you're having to do a kind of guesstimation, figuring out social deduction style element to games. So having that available really helps you strategize what is available for you and your other opponents, which is a double function, like I said before, in the component structure and gameplay. Well, everyone, if you liked what you see here, please make sure to check out Titan when it launches on Kickstarter in October. My name is Marco. This has been Board Game Revolution. We'll see you next time.